Check, check. Check one, check one.
For the safety of our entire community, Tempe Union continues to practice social distancing. We are limited as to the number of people we are able to seat in the boardroom, but members of the public are attending our meeting in person, and we are also streaming this meeting live on the district's YouTube channel. The time is now 7:00 p.m. Call this meeting to order. Let the record show that we have 5 board members present, one who is joining us by telephone. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Vice President Montero, followed by the land acknowledgement by Dr. Wilson. If you can please stand.
I pledge allegiance
Thank you.
Tempe Union High School District acknowledges that our community of schools is located on the ancestral lands of the Akmal, O'odham, and Peeposh Maricopa indigenous peoples who have inhabited these lands since time immemorial. With this land acknowledgement, the district formally recognizes that the traditional care and keeping of these lands by Indigenous peoples allows us to be here today.
Thank you so much, Vice President Montero and Dr. Wilson. At this time, I move adoption of the, adoption of the agenda. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. Apologize, skip that. All right, next we will go straight into our presentation with our sustainability officers. Dr. Mendeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board. Member Hodge at home, can you hear okay? Member Hodge?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. I want to make sure you're there. Today we have a couple of presentations that we're excited about. I'd like to call Emma Collins from the City of Phoenix and your guest. We are excited about this opportunity around sustainability and with our students and with the district, and it's certainly in compliance or in alignment, I should say, with the goals that we have set forth within the Tempe Union High School District at all 6 of our comprehensive school sites. It also fits wonderfully with our city of Tempe and all that the city embarks on in support of sustainability within our beautiful city of Tempe. So Emma Collins, welcome to Tempe Union High School District. And if you have a guest, you'll probably want to introduce, right?
I am the guest.
Oh, you are the guest. Okay. I don't know your name, guest.
Hi, I'm Doris Ellis, and I'm with the City of Phoenix, and I'm from the City Manager's Office of Sustainability. And Emma and I are here today. We're going to take a few minutes and tell you about an exciting program that we started with the city. We've engaged some of your members here. Hi, Sarah. And thank you for having us. We'll just get right into it. About, I'd say, 7 or 8 years ago, we came up with this idea to create a form of engagement. I think it's a very simple concept, and what we do is we've gone into high schools, asked them to change their or amend their constitutions and add a sustainability officer position to their student governments. Very simple concept, in my opinion. It's where you have a president, vice president, secretary, you would now have a sustainability officer. We started with Phoenix Union High School District. Made sense for the city of Phoenix. They're one of our largest, most diverse. They right now have about 21 schools in their district. Took me a minute to convince them to join and to do this. The very first school that said, okay, we're going to do this is Bioscience High School. As a result, Bioscience requires their seniors to, they have to have 200 hours of internship hours before they can graduate. So the person or the student that runs for this position successfully gets to intern in our Office of Sustainability for the year and fulfill their internship requirements. So we're going through this. You can see our program description. That person also serves as a sustainability lead for the other officers in the district. That means that they coordinate meetings. We're developing sustainability leaders through these kids. They have monthly meetings. They oversee our sustainability challenge we'll talk a little bit about that we've provided for the last 4 years. And then they help us to meet the mission statement, which is to add a sustainability officer position to STUCOs. We've been very fortunate this year to invest some funds and bring on an AmeriCorps Vista, that's Emma, and her role with us is to help expand the program, and she's going to talk to you a little bit more about that. We're just very honored to be here. We've been working tirelessly in helping these students become officers. We partner with the Arizona State University School of Sustainability, which makes a lot of sense for us. We also partner with the ASU Sustainable Cities Network. We've created a greening events guide. These students use this guide to help green their events. One of our sustainability challenges focused on who had the greenest prom. So we've created this guide where they can just go through, plan their events, make sure that they're green, and they get awarded based on who wins the competition for that year. One year, our sustainability challenge focused on food and fitness. And I want you to keep in mind that these challenges and the things that these students are doing help us as a city to meet our long-term environmental sustainability goals. So we're focused on 6 long-term goals around water, air, food. They're coming in and they're taking on some of these goals and creating opportunities to embed and improve sustainability on their campuses. We also really encourage them to reach out and develop relationships with city staff. So for instance, a lot of these students they have their own platforms, and they run on different things. They want to improve recycling on their campus, or they want to add a garden to their campus. Some of them have even written grants and applied for grants, and they've been able to do that. So we work with them. If they come in and tell us, we want to know more about electric vehicles, and how can we help the city educate and build awareness around electric vehicles, we go and get the electric vehicle program manager to meet with them and present to them, and then they make decisions based on that. I was very proud of the group last year, or 2 years ago, when we were hit with the COVID epidemic, and I was thinking, we're not going to be able to do this year. They were like, no, we still want to do it. They took on a different approach to their activities, and that was at the same time that as a city we were developing our climate action plan. And we go out as a city and we need public input on a lot of our policies and projects, but we tend to overlook the students. And from a sustainability standpoint, these are the people that we really need to be talking to. If we're going to look at where we want to be by the year 2050, it really impacts them, and we want to hear their voice. So this model of student engagement definitely is teaching us as a city that here's a group that we need to be hearing and listening to. And they actually, that year, those students organized and participated in a student-led session where they provided all of their feedback on our climate action plan. And there were some things that are included in that plan to this day as a result of their input. So that's just an idea of how they're helping us meet our goals. We're helping them. And lastly, I'd like to say, when I started this program, looked all around, I still talk to a lot of people. This model of engagement is not happening anywhere around the country. We see sustainability officers at the collegiate level, but at the high school level, the middle school, elementary, which we get a lot of interest from people that are interested in doing that, we're not seeing that. So it's putting Arizona on the map for something new, something innovative, and something good. And we're just hoping that after you hear Emma speak, you'll think about what we're doing and consider taking this project on for yourselves. Thank you.
We'll go ahead and skip the next slide as well. One more, please. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I want to first talk about what does the actual day, program look like for the students. So firstly, we do, with Phoenix Union, have one lead sustainability officer from bioscience housed in the city of Phoenix. That lead sustainability officer plans monthly meetings to bring all of the district together to make sure they're collaborating and providing assistance to each other. Those monthly meetings are where the sustainability officers can tell us what they're interested in, what are their platforms that they want to make changes on, and we come in and help them find the resources. If they're interested in starting a recycling program, we get them connected with our solid waste department. We help them figure out what they need, get them the resources, and it helps expose them to different careers in sustainability so they can start thinking about that before they graduate. They also are able to come together and help each other plan those outreaches on campus because it needs to expand past just that one sustainability officer. They're taking the lead for their campus. So they are going to plan and do projects, and we help provide them with ideas and resources for that, but it's really on them to figure out what they want to do and tell us what they need from, they tell us what they need from us. And of course, we do that sustainability challenge that Doris mentioned, and that is designed by the students themselves. This year, our topic is fashion because the students, definitely through social media, are very interested in fashion, so we're trying to teach them about the fashion industry over the next 5 weeks so they can make their own decisions when purchasing clothing or not purchasing clothing, just to help them become more educated citizens. And then, as Doris also mentioned, we are creating the Greening Events Guide for schools. This was made in kind of conjunction with the ASU Sustainable Cities Network Greening Events Guide. We had been allowing students to use that guide to plan things like prom, homecoming, but students came to us and said, this is a little too high level, this isn't working for us, this isn't realistic for students. So working with students, we helped rewrite that to be the Arizona Greening Events Guide for Schools, and we're working with the Arizona Department of Education to get that out there for more schools to use and help make sure it's aligned for the needs of students in Arizona. And this is really to allow students to take accountability and responsibility for their own events on campus and call for the changes themselves. And we definitely are seeing a lot of successes throughout this program. An example is our first winner of the Sustainability Challenge, Linda Abril Education Academy, won the Food and Fitness Challenge. They had no equipment for PE classes. They had no equipment to use, and they used the funds from that Food and Fitness Challenge that they won, that award, to purchase equipment so they could start actually engaging their students in fitness programs. Another school that won found that a lot of their students lacked education on healthy eating, so they started a garden with their award money on their campus, and then started doing cooking classes with that produce that the students themselves grew, so the students would have that connection to the earth and their food to create those healthy habits. So our goal right now is to expand this program outside of the Phoenix Union because we really believe that this is a model that will be beneficial to really any high school community because it's so adaptable to the needs of that school. I know that when I was a student at Desert Vista, this is exactly the program that I would have wanted to be a part of. So it's really exciting for me, just as a Desert Vista alum, to kind of be here talking to the Tempe Union High School District. We have been working with the Arizona Department of Education to identify school districts that might this program would be beneficial and align with their beliefs. And the Tempe Union High School District was one of the ones that was strongly recommended because of your work with sustainability and that model. Thank you.
So thank you once again for having us. If you have any questions or materials that you'd like for us to forward you, we're more than willing to do that. And again, you were highly recommended to us from the state, the superintendent's office in particular. They're doing a lot of work with us now. They're very interested in our model. They're very interested in sustainability and having that as a message for the state, and super interested in the Greening Events Guide for students. So we'd like to really get you involved if you're interested, and thank you once again Thanks again.
Thank you. Is it Darice?
I'm Darice.
Darice, okay, great. Darice and Emma, thank you very much for joining us. Do we have questions for anybody? I can update you on where we're at right now, just briefly. We're excited about this, and so our activities assistant principals have been working with Mr. McDonald and a few other folks to have our students work on just that, looking at adding a sustainability officer to the charters for the student council. So I believe within weeks, certainly by the end of the month, we should be at least on paper ready, and then begin some of that work. So it also just prepares us, probably more importantly, for next year to have a comprehensive planning and have them understand that. So we're excited about it.
Great.
I am. I love sustainability. Are there moments for planting trees and making sure that we anybody who knows me, that's what I'm all about. So
yeah, plenty of moments for that. And
Good.
we met earlier today with Tollefson School District, Tollefson, I have to pronounce it correctly, and that's what they want. Like, we want to plant trees, and please know that there are resources. What we're finding, when you say you want to do it, and when the students want to do it, there are resources out there. And Phoenix Union, said to us, we can't help you do anything, basically. So that's where the city has come in. We've been able to provide funding. We've been able to help find grants. The children love getting to learn how to write grants. So it's just we're partnering. And I did meet with your, I think it was David Huffin, I think I'm saying.
Huffine,
and that
right.
meeting was just so exciting because there were already ideas flowing.
Right.
And so you have the foundation there. This just coordinates the effort. And then we want to be able to say as a state that this is something positive that we're doing and we're building these leaders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have I'd like to invite the Education Forward Arizona folks up to the podium. We're excited too about this. There's a lot of good things happening in Tempe Union, and we have just a brief presentation from a newly morphed group, the organization Education Forward Arizona. It's the next evolution of the work of 3 well-known education nonprofits who joined forces earlier this year. Achieve 60 AZ, many of you have heard of that. We were involved, College Success AZ, and Expect More Arizona, all wonderful nonprofits that we were a part of in one way or another. And it's nice to see those efforts being merged into Education Forward Arizona. And we have our wonderful Jennifer Morgan, our College and Career Readiness Coordinator for the district. You're going to make these proud introductions.
Yes.
Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you. President Garcia, Vice President Mr. Montero, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Mendeville. I'd like to introduce Megan Dales, Monroe Obenar, and Angie Rodriguez from Education Forward Arizona. As Dr. Mendeville said, they are here tonight to introduce the College Knowing and Going Culture Program, an initiative that comes out of the Helios Education Foundation as well. Our hope is to continue to develop our partnership with Education Forward Arizona by exploring the opportunities to bring this amazing program into some of our Tempe Union high schools. So I will let them take the floor. You all should have some information in front of you that kind of goes over the program and some statistics, but they are great to be able to fulfill any gaps. Thank you.
Hi all, I'm Megan Dales with Education Forward, and this is Monroe and Angie. So I don't have any slides tonight. In lieu, I did just provide some handouts, but I'm going to give a brief overview. So thank you all so much for allowing us to be here to speak with you this evening about the College Knowing and Going initiative and our hope to partner with Tempe High School. So we are exploring expansion to additional Tempe Union high school district high schools. It's a bit of a tongue twister. But at this time, we're really focusing on Tempe High School. So the CKG project is a program within Education Forward Arizona. And Education Forward Arizona is a new statewide education advocacy organization. And our mission is to advocate for and act on educational improvements that advance the quality of life for all Arizonans. Although we are a new organization, we have a rich history of impact for students and schools in Arizona, including here with the Tempe Union High School District. Education Forward Arizona, like Dr. Mendeville alluded to, brings together and draws on the success of 3 prominent Arizona educational organizations, Achieve 60 AZ, College Success Arizona, and Expect More Arizona. By joining forces, we are now one bigger, more robust organization, and we have combined the policy and program expertise of our staff and partners into one organization. This is important because we now have, under one roof, the knowledge on programs that solve big challenges and impact student progress, and the policy know-how to scale best practices statewide. So each of our organizations have an established working relationship with the district. We continue to work with College Connect Tempe to host one of our AmeriCorps Advise AZ members and provide near-peer post-secondary support to Tempe Union students. We partner through Ask Benji to ensure Tempe Union students have access to the AI chatbot tool to support FAFSA completion. And we have worked in the community to build champions for statewide education policy and the City of Tempe's 65% attainment goal. Now we are hoping to expand on these opportunities to include a partnership on the College Knowing and Going initiative. So the College Knowing and Going College Readiness Team project focuses on increasing college and career readiness preparation for students by establishing college readiness teams, or CRTs, at partner high schools. CRTs are comprised of administrators, counselors, teachers, community partners, Advise AZ AmeriCorps members, and CKG coordinators. CRTs focus on implementing data-driven interventions to help students plan for post-secondary success. CRTs are tasked with reviewing metrics, establishing goals, and implementing action steps to reach those goals. Through the initiative, CRTs are provided with stipend dollars totaling $6,000 for the 3-year project to help in achieving those goals. The CKG project includes engaging CKG student ambassadors at each partner high school. The CKG ambassadors are student leaders who are trained to inspire their peers to pursue higher education and help them with the logistics to do so. At the end of their service, CKG student ambassadors are awarded a $2,000 scholarship to be used at the post-secondary school of their choice. The CRT program is intended to assist in establishing a college-going culture at the school by implementing sustainable practices and ensuring a team of stakeholders is responsible for college and career readiness, not just one department or one person. We're excited to offer this partnership to Tempe High School, and we would be very happy to answer any questions you have about the program.
Governing Board, any thoughts, comments, or questions? No?
They're going to give me all their questions later.
I have my business cards, so when questions arise, but those handouts actually give quite a bit of information. In particular, I'd love for you to take a chance to review the CKG Student Ambassador flyer that we handed out. It's one of our favorite aspects about the program, and it goes through the milestones that the students have to complete in order to be eligible for the scholarship, and we have seen huge success with this program. We actually have several high schools that we work with right now that have taken it on, and they're implementing it in their student councils and their caveat programs? AVID program, I mix up the two. So they're actually really expanding on that program, so it's really exciting to watch.
All right, we have questions for you. Mr. Barraza?
Thank you for your presentation and all the hard work, and appreciate, the extra information too. I mean, I'll obviously be in contact because I do have a lot of questions and excited about it. I do appreciate the focus on filling out FAFSA forms. I think that's the one aspect in which opens up the mindset to it's available. Now you just have to decide on the next step. You know, for someone like me growing up, college wasn't really something that you think about. So being able to do that process, you know, and having someone help you walk through it is invaluable for someone that wants to go to college, you know, definitely. So I really appreciate that. What's the extent in terms of, we have dual enrollment courses, we have career and technical education courses. So for me, the mindset is also that not everyone needs to go to college or wants to go to college. In fact, we have entry-level positions that right now students are getting at $40,000. In fact, I talked to a couple of former students in a couple industries when I reach out to businesses, and they're making $70,000 at 22 years old. And then that's in construction technology. And so one of them actually is in automotive, and they're starting their own fabrication company. So that's kind of where I'm at, is what is the extent that we're recruiting or we're reaching out to what students, because I want to make sure that it's not the end-all be-all focus of our school at Tempe. I want to make sure that there's students that understand that they can go various paths, you know, and frankly, my whole experience has been I took on $60,000 debt, and at the end of the day, it was entry-level positions in which I was available to. So that's kind of where I'm looking at, is like, what's the extent that I can find you, but I don't want it to be the end-all focus of the school goal, is to ensure college. So if you can give me a little breakdown on that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful question. And one of our guiding principles of our CRTs is that every student graduate with a plan, whether that be college or career. So we talk about post-secondary, which encompasses university, community college, and trade school, as well as certificate programs. So we encourage our CRTs to educate their students on these opportunities, but there is in no way a focus on recruitment for a four-year institution. We in College Access know that that's not the direction that the majority of our students are going in, and we're not recruiting for that. Instead, what I would probably say to the school that comes to me with that, I would say, well, how can we focus our energy on ensuring that students are aware of those opportunities, the dual enrollment opportunities? One of our high schools, Ash Fork High School in northern Arizona, a majority of their students actually graduate with an associate's degree because they have a great relationship with the community college. So the work that we've been focusing with them is how are we having career conversations and transfer conversations with those students if that's the path that that student wants to take.
I really appreciate that. You know, I always, you know, I assumed that was the end, you know, messaging, but I wanted it to be said, you know, for the community so they can hear what you guys are working on. I believe in opening up every door we can for our students and all resources, and so having you on our campuses would be a wonderful addition, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Board Member James?
Yes, just a quick question. You said you're starting at Tempe High? Yeah. And then do you have plans to expand to the other campuses eventually?
So
to
our
be established?
hope was to include Marcus, Deniza, McClintock, and Mountain Point. Ultimately, there's some metrics that we have to provide to our funders to ensure that the school can be entered into the program. So we are combating very strongly for those schools to be included because Tempe Union High School District has shown such an interest in the program. But again, we just have to get permission from the funders to move forward with those.
Great, thank you.
That is the ultimate goal. And
Yes.
so we're looking forward to that. I like what you mentioned, both of you actually, but we want to make sure our students have opportunities and choices. Because college knowing and going is critical and important, but it may not be right after high school. For some, it takes a couple of years because there's a maturity level. I know for myself, I was going into college at just turning 18, barely. And so I was young and naive many years ago. But there's just choice and opportunity for our students, and that's one of the goals with all of our schools and their counseling departments. That's where they get their direction from as well, and the families. So we appreciate you. Was there someone else that had a question? Oh, sorry.
Vice President Montero?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the presentation. This is all really great. My main question, actually, Member Barraza had brought up, but the other question I had was related to, kind of how you're identifying those students. I know you talked about collecting data, and I know that's broken down here on the flyer. But I'm curious, are kind of what are those major things, major data that you're looking into to identify students, and what are those focuses that you're using to bring those students in and to develop those plans?
So the main metrics that we're looking at for schools that we're inviting into the program are free and reduced lunch eligibility rates, Hispanic and Latino populations. If you're familiar with Helios Education Foundation, that's one of their guiding principles, and then post-secondary enrollment. So schools that have high free and reduced lunch eligible but low post-secondary enrollment specifically. And to clarify, the work that we're doing is not, we don't come into a school and say this is what you should be focused on. These college readiness teams are really a collaborative team where the teachers and the faculty and the administrators tell us what's important to them for their students, and we help to streamline those processes. So internally, we like to say that we're not intending to create more work for school counselors or teachers. Nobody wants to do that. Instead, we really want to streamline and fine-tune what schools are already doing to increase them and make them more data-driven to ensure that they're targeting the student populations that they want to target.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to be here tonight. We definitely really appreciate it, and I'm certainly excited about all of this, and I'm particularly grateful for the integration already with our AVID, as I'm really proud supporter of our AVID programs. I have just a kind of I think a simple question, but I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about the AI bot and how successful, I guess, how you're able to incorporate knowing the data targets that you're working on, and obviously what the goal is with the data bots, or the AI bots, how that, I guess, adapts as you go and able to accomplish the goals that you're looking at.
Yeah, so Ask Benji is actually a program within Education Forward that I don't specifically head up, but I'm very familiar with Ask Benji. So Ask Benji was actually a partnership. There was a grant proposal through Google, and ASU and Education Forward applied for that, and the task was to create AI technology that could increase wealth for the middle income. So their answer to that was, let's create a FAFSA chatbot where we know students who complete the FAFSA are more likely to attend a higher education institution, receive a degree, and increase wealth in their families. So the AI chatbot is actually quite smart. It learns as students interact with it. When a student asks a question it doesn't know, there is actually a human being who is in our office behind that answers the questions, and it's a completely free chatbot. So any student at any time, 24/7, can message Benji and ask a question about the FAFSA and receive a response while they're in real time while they're going through it. And then again, if there's an issue, a human's behind it. There also, I believe, is and I don't want to misspeak, but I believe there is a way for the school to be alerted if a student needs additional help. So the partnership is very similar data components. It is a separate MOU because it does ask for student and parent phone numbers, whereas the College Knowing and Going project, we do not ask for that. But if you're interested in the Ask Benji more information, I can connect you with the right folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anything that helps our families understand, and I know for especially someone like me who's a first-gen student, the FAFSA was something to figure out, right?
Yes.
With my family. So, but yeah, I definitely appreciate it. Board members, are there any other thoughts, comments, or questions? Member Hodge, do you have anything?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for the presentation. My board members kind of answered my questions for me. This is going to be great. And you starting off at Tempe High School, which I am an alumni of, so that's even more phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. Dr. Minivel?
No, I echo the sentiments of thankfulness, because we're glad that you're a part of our team, because you're going to be working And Jennifer Morgan's outstanding, so it's a nice partnership. So thank you again.
Yeah, we're very excited to work with you all, and like I said, we'd love to add additional schools, and the hope is to create a model that we can use statewide and even nationwide. So it would be
Alright, let's
amazing
go.
to have
We
Tempe
would love that
High School.
opportunity to help create that model. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have a report from our superintendent, our staff introduction, Dr. Menville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board, Member Hodge at home. I want to invite Mr. Daniel Perez up to the podium. We want to recognize this new employee to the district. He is our new Community Intervention and Response Coordinator. He will be housed at Marcos and work closely with the district operations team to support student safety, engagement, and social emotional wellness. Daniel will also work with community partners, feeder districts, and school support and safety teams to provide student support, intervention, and professional development training. Daniel is a graduate of Marcos de Niza and has a wide range of experience that will benefit our students and staff. He served in the U.S. military and has worked in both government and private sector positions, focusing on advocacy, outreach, and engagement programs, as well as risk and threat assessment. He has also founded the nonprofit Community Assistance Club in the town of Guadalupe to positively engage and support community members. We are pleased to welcome him back, actually, to Tempe Union. Daniel.
Thank you. This is an intimidating room, so I wanted to just say thank you for inviting me here. I wanted to see if I could do this under 30 seconds, so I'm going to try and just have
You're
a
fine.
few comments. My name is Daniel Perez. I go by Danny. Growing up in 1980 with Karate Kid made Daniel's son pretty frustrating after not too long. I'm from Guadalupe. I'm from the community. I am Hispanic. I am the lightest skinned Hispanic in Guadalupe, so I am recognizable down the street. I joined the Marines due to some situations, the product of my environment, elements of my environment, and I chose the Marines to kind of get away from the community and do some better. I grew up in a very good home. I always say that I grew up in a good home, but in a bad neighborhood. The times were interesting around 1980s, 1990s as well. So I joined the military. I got out of there. I was in special operations, and then I worked for overseas operations for the government for a couple three-letter agencies, and that got me networking with some interesting individuals, people in positions in our federal government. I needed to come home at some point in time to help raise my daughter. And so I came back to my community, and when I came back to my home and my community, I started a nonprofit group called Compadres de Guadalupe in the town of Guadalupe, which the idea was to try and remove some of the red tape that was for things that needed to be positive for the community. And so it kind of turned into guys just putting a bunch of money into a hat and being able to reproduce that and get that to the community as fast as possible. That is what I think led some of the members that have brought me on with Tempe Union to help potentially replicate some of the connections and things that I was doing within my community. Hopefully I can try and use those skills to benefit Tempe Union High School District. What does a community response intervention coordinator do? I wrote this down about 10 seconds ago while I was sitting over there because I thought somebody might ask. Synergize students, families, and communities to direct students from a non-existent or a misdirected path onto vetted paths which improve our educational institutions, communities, and societies as a whole. So I'm going to try and find those opportunities for those kids to be able to have a positive impact on our society throughout the future, stemming from our school district here as we stand. I didn't realize there was going to be so many people in the room. I did bring some gifts for I feel like I have like 5-6 bosses, but I will get those to you so I'm not running around the room and trying to hand them out to you. So thank you. Does anybody, I don't know if it's question time, but if you do.
Well, thank you, Daniel. Are there questions from anybody?
Thank you.
I won't put you through the ringer here. we'll let you get established first, and then we'll ring you. But thank you so much, Daniel. We're excited to have you, and yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back to Tempe Union. I know they're excited to have you there at Marcos. I know you're helping the rest of the schools, so thank you again.
All right, next we have public comment. Dr. Mendenville, do we have public comment?
But before we go into public comment, I wanted one more thing on my superintendent's report, and this is in honor of Black History Month.
All right, yes.
And I will tell you, I was thoroughly impressed when I was at Mountain Point the other day, and I ask anybody who has time to go visit Mountain Point, because they, in honor of one of the many activities and things that they're doing at Mountain Point is they created a Black History periodic table chart. And I want to recognize the two teachers, Dr. Chandra Mitnick and Nicole Perkins. I told you I would recognize you in the board meeting, so I'm doing that. But go to it. It is outstanding. It takes up a whole big bulletin board, big wall next to their offices or to their classrooms. And it is most impressive. It also has the QR codes that take you directly to information. It's the most creative thing I've seen in a long while, but it is outstanding. So shout out to Mountain Point, Dr. Chandra Mitnick, and Nicole Perkins.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mendenville.
Now, public comment. We have, before I go into that, this is the time for public comment. Members of the governing board may not discuss items that are not on the agenda. Therefore, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Lily McGrew.
I'm a little nervous, so.
Don't be.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Mendenville and fellow members of the board. My name is Lily McGrew, and I'm a senior at Marcos Deniza High School. I'm here today with a few of my fellow students as a concerned member of our fine arts program. I would first off like to make it very clear, all of these words are my own, and everything is of my own opinion. In 8th grade, when I was deciding where to go to high school, I really struggled with finding the right one. Eventually, my mom and I decided on Marcos, even though I lived in Glendale at the time. In that point in my life, I had absolutely no drive or passion for anything. I went through a really hard time during middle school that forced me to go to online for all of 8th grade. But when I enrolled at Marcos, I decided to try out performing, specifically in theater. I didn't know then that I would make a family there and gain many experiences that pulled me out of that dark place. I drove almost an hour to school every day back and forth for 4 years, but it was always worth it because this program has helped me grow so much as a person and as an adult. In those 4 years, I ended up joining choir and dance and enrolling in our Fine Arts Academy. However, since then, I have seen this program in a decline. Our classes have been cut, our administration has been absent, and our program has drastically changed. These issues had been here before I was a student, but it seems that they've only gotten worse ever since. It really hurts as someone who was so inspired by this program to see it almost pushed to the side and deemed as not important as other things happening on our campus. I, as well as the other students here, come to ask you, the board, for help for our program. We're tired of not being taken seriously and our voices not being listened to. We are tired of being used as a commodity for our school and not being valued for our work. Our school is known for our fine arts program, and we have had many different performances, gained many different achievements. Yet there has been almost no support for us. It's gotten to a point where we can't stay quiet about what's happening to our school and all these issues going on. I know there's plenty of students at Marcos that would be willing to discuss further ideas and plans to promote and sustain our fine arts programs, but we can't build our programs alone. We need your help and support to once again make Marcos the fine arts school it deserves to be, and I know that it can't be. Thank you.
Thank you, and as a reminder, there's 3 minutes, okay? So I don't want you to be shocked when you hear it buzz, okay? Next, Cordelia Ellsworth.
Good evening, Dr. Mendeville, Mr. Garcia, and members of the board. My name is Cordelia Ellsworth. I'm a sophomore at Marcos de Niza, and I am heavily involved in the performing arts at Marcos. I want to make it clear that the things I'm about to say are my own opinions and that I have decided to speak at this meeting due to my own concerns about the availability of fine arts classes at Marcos. As a student at Kyrene Middle School, I was always taking a music class and was always involved in the school play or musical. My classmates and I constantly fought for after-school theater and good performing arts programs, and we went to our school board in 7th grade to make sure that there would be a theater program at KMS. I shouldn't have to fight this battle again at a performing arts high school with a fine arts academy. When my classmates and I travel to feeder schools or run tables at open houses, we talk to incoming freshmen and their families about the Marcos Fine Arts Academy and the arts classes that we have to offer. I chose to come to Marcos because of the Fine Arts Academy and the amazing productions I saw as an 8th grader. It breaks my heart to know that the excited freshmen who come to Marcos with a passion for the arts will find that the number of performing arts classes is shrinking year after year, resulting in the opportunities that were advertised to them being taken away. I recognize that times are tough right now, and there are massive issues facing every school in this district, but the arts are important to so many people. These classes provide students with a sense of community and belonging that is hard to come by these days. Arts programs do make a difference in the lives of students, and they are massively important. Cuts to fine arts programs have gone so far as to eliminate beginning band and choir classes at Marcos. This is unacceptable. How are we expected to rebuild our programs after COVID without entry-level courses? The burden of rebuilding our programs after COVID should not fall on the shoulders of the teachers and students, but it has. And it is the job of this school board and the Marcos administration to help us recover from COVID. From our perspective, that has not happened. We as students feel unsupported and underappreciated. Over the past 5 years, the choir, band, theater, and dance programs at Marcos have been cut in half in terms of classes offered, and every other fine arts program has lost classes. Just a few years ago, there were 6 choir classes offered for credit, and now there are only 2. Band students who have never touched an instrument before and those who have been playing for a decade are being placed in the same class because there's only 1 band class offered for wind players this year. This neglect of the Fine Arts Academy must stop. Why is it that Marcos students and teachers are being left in the dust when other schools in this district have not faced nearly the same amount of cuts to their programs? We are tired of Marcos being shown off as a fine arts academy when our students, teachers, and programs are not being treated as such. Something needs to change. Thank you.
Caitlin Jacobson.
Good evening, Dr. Mendeville, Mr. Garcia, and members of the board. My name is Caitlin Jacobson, and I'm a senior at Marcos de Niza. I'm here to voice my opinion on the lack of support for our fine arts program. I've been going to the performances and concerts at MDN since 2014 because of my older sister who attended Marcos at that time. I've always enjoyed going to see their performances because they were extremely impressive and showcased some amazing talent. Over time, this heavily influenced my decision to enroll at Marcos just to experience what I saw. It was the only high school in the Tempe School District that offered a fine arts program, and I was beyond excited to be a part of something so special. Seeing how my sister moved through high school, I was looking forward to doing the same thing she did with the choir programs, plays, and musicals. Through my freshman and sophomore year, I was growing as an individual and a member of the program. That was before COVID hit. I was beyond devastated, along with many others, that I was going to miss out on our quarterly concerts, the fall play, and the spring musical my junior year. When I found out that we were going to be able to come back to campus and perform again during my senior year, I was thrilled. Then later I found out that our top jazz ensemble, Chamber, was cut because it was too small, according to our administration. However, Chamber has always been considered a smaller ensemble, and is rarely larger than 15 people. Now we are a club that meets for an hour, once a week. Yet we are still expected to perform at the same capacity as before. That includes competitions, concerts, outside gigs, and singing the national anthem at assemblies and football games for a school that couldn't afford to keep us a class. I also want to add that during my freshman year, the Fine Arts Academy was introduced as a way to enhance the arts education that students receive. However, the cuts our programs have endured, it is nearly impossible to complete a track in the academy, such as vocal performance or musical theater, because many beginning or intermediate classes were cut this year, due to the fact that beginning choir, intermediate dance, and intermediate theater were cut. Marcos de Niza is labeled as a fine arts school, but how could it possibly be considered one when so many classes and opportunities have been taken away from students and teachers in these programs? It's devastating to watch these programs deteriorate as if they're not important. Thank you.
Dr. Mendenhall, if we can please follow up.
Mackenzie Porter.
Good evening, Dr. Mendeville, Mr. Garcia, and members of the board. My name is Mackenzie Porter, and I'm a junior at Marcos de Niza. I am here today to speak on behalf of my fellow students and the concerns we have involving the fine arts programs, or what's left of it. Over many years, Marcos de Niza has branded itself as a fine arts school. But please tell me why all of our fine arts related classes are the first ones to get cut. I have never been heavily involved in the choir program at my school for 3 years now and will continue to be a part of it till I receive my diploma next year. Choir has always been something I've been very passionate about, and it breaks my heart to see how much the program has crumbled over these last few years. Marcos used to have 6 choir classes with all different levels. There was something for everyone, and students had opportunities to grow and create so many amazing memories with people who shared similar passions. Now, Marcos only offers 2. Choir is not the only program that has been affected. Other programs on the decline include band, orchestra, dance, mariachi, theater, and the list can go on and on. If Marcos de Niza is going to be advertised as a fine arts school, then we deserve to be treated like one. I know there are other schools in the Tempe High School District that have maintained their arts programs and kept everything well protected, and they aren't the ones calling themselves a fine arts school. If they can maintain these programs afloat, so can we. We have a great program here at Marcos once, and we can get it back once again. I care about my school, and I want to leave it knowing I gave future Marcos students the full opportunities that I wish I had throughout my years. Thank you.
Ariel Martinez Mason.
Good evening, Dr. Mendeville, Mr. Garcia, and members of the board. My name is Abiel Martinez Mason, and I am a senior at Marcos de Niza High School. I've been a part of almost every music program on campus, including orchestra, band, and most recently, choir and mariachi. I'm here to talk about the lack of support specifically for our band and mariachi programs. For mariachi, our mariachi program is a symbol of pride at our school. We are one of 2 schools in the district that have a program, and it helps us celebrate our heritage and culture as a school with a large Hispanic demographic. I myself have only been able to join the club this year as one of the mariachi classes was cut. Seeing as we have enough students with an interest in mariachi at our school, it does not make sense that there was only 1 class available this year. It makes it seem to me that there could be not enough support from the district for our program. Also, with the loss of ACLAB at our school, our rehearsal time as a group has been cut by a tremendous margin as we utilize that time to hone our skills as musicians. The marching band is supposed to be the face of Marcos along with the student council and cheerleaders. At football games, we help the students show their school spirit in the stands. However, on several occasions this year, we were not allowed to go to the away games and were given the excuse, buses are expensive. The fact that the players and the cheerleaders were given the resources to attend these games while the band was not makes us feel forgotten and unwanted. I personally do not think it is fair to take that experience away from our students, as there were chances to perform in big stadiums such as the one at NAU, but we were not allowed to go. I also think that not allowing the band to go on these trips lowers morale for the players and the rest of the student section. In terms of funding, we have received some percussion equipment in the past year, but the number of instruments that we have that are not usable is astounding. There are trombones, tubas, and saxophones being held together with tape, and one of my friends was not able to get her baritone saxophone repaired for 3 years. We are in desperate need of ESSR funding from our district to meet the needs of the fine arts students. Anything we can do to align with the Mesa, Gilbert, and Tempe elementary districts would be deeply appreciated. The lack of consideration of our needs as a performing group and as such a big part of the school's face makes us feel somewhat underappreciated. Our current administration is not receiving ample support for our fine arts programs, while other programs are being pushed to the forefront, such as CTE programs. It is my belief that our fine arts program should be given the same support as these courses, and I'm asking you to please consider our pleas. Thank you for your time.
Autumn Menger?
Good evening, Dr. Menderville, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Montero, and distinguished board members. My name is Autumn Menger, and I'm a junior at Marcos de Niza. Today, I'm joined by several other members of the Fine Arts program here at Marcos who feel that our programs haven't been getting the support they deserve, especially considering we're recognized as a fine arts school. As you may know, Marcos recently made several cuts to the fine arts classes, including but not limited to band, orchestra, dance, mariachi, and theater. Choir specifically took a pretty big hit, going from 5 classes to 2 in the span of a year, meaning we lost not only our top honor choir, also known as chamber, but also our beginner level choirs. Our beginner level classes have now been combined with our intermediate ones, meaning that students who may have auditioned for and have the experience for a high level class are being lumped together with those who may have never even looked at a piece of music. This is extremely harmful to all students involved, as it stunts the growth of the intermediate students and forces the beginners to try and pick up brand new skills far quicker than they're able to. Inevitably, both groups struggle to create a cohesive performance as they are having to adjust to the other's learning abilities. As for our top chamber choir, the class was cut due to not enough people being enrolled, according to our administration, which, quite frankly, has never been a problem before, because the group has auditioned long before enrollment requirements need to be met and has always been considered a small ensemble. Regardless, after chamber was cut, we all banded together and decided to continue meeting as a club 1 day a week. Despite the class itself being cut, we're continued to expect to participate in school events and competitions, which keep the appearance of our top choir alive without the administration actually supporting us. Why is our administration volunteering us to represent Marcos when they have repeatedly shown so little regard for the health of the fine arts program? I have here a testimony from a member of the Marcos Mariachi expressing their concerns for the program. It states, "I'm a prevalent student within the Mariachi program, being a soloist as well as a longtime member. Starting off my freshman year, we would go to multiple events around the city of Tempe promoting the school's music program to potential students. After the cuts, we now have kids of multiple levels trying to learn the same music as our most advanced players. Honestly, it's ruined the overall quality of the program and is leading to possible dropouts by many students. This along the fact that there will be potential students that will try to join mariachi and be denied because of a lack of numbers. Since it's brought attention to Marcos, the lack of support will drive this program to crumble after all the efforts done by our teachers to make sure we have a diverse range of musical education in a world that mainly pushes for a Western way of learning." End quote. As a student so heavily involved in the arts program, I see the lack of support from administration and find it disheartening. I'm here today to bring these issues to the attention of the board and hopefully shed some light on the students' perspective. Thank you for your time, and we hope you take them into consideration.
David Rojas?
David Rojas. I'm a junior at McClintock High School. I'm here to address the issue of schools starting too early. Purely speaking, from my own anecdotal experiences, the early start time, I go to McClintock, so that's 7:25, leads to stress, showing up late to school, worsening grades, feeling worse in the morning, and it's evident by a cursory glance around my first period that school starts so early that many students feel it's not worth showing up. In fact, during an informal survey of students conducted by members in my sociology class, a large majority of students at McClintock feel that school starts too early. It'd be one thing if this was just me or just people at my school, but it's not. There are too many studies to count that show early start times have negative outcomes on students. To name a few, the reduced sleep that happens as a result of early start times is associated with obesity, migraines, and immune system disruption, and with health risk behaviors including smoking, drinking, stimulant abuse, physical fighting, physical inactivity, depression, and suicidal tendencies. When schools have delayed the start of the school day, communities have seen reduced tardiness, sleeping in class, and car crash rates, as well as improved attendance, graduation rates, and standardized test scores. The Brookings report also estimated that later high school start times create a lifetime earnings gain of $17,500 per student, with a school system cost of between $0 to $1,950, a benefit to cost ratio of 9-to-1 or better. And of course, with every other systemic issue in this country, the negative outcomes listed above fall disproportionately on poor communities and communities of color. So it's because of those and several other reasons that credible groups such as the CDC, American Medical Association, American Psychological Association, as well as the U.S. Surgeon General's Office, and many more have urged school boards across the country to start schools later. So I urge this body to follow their advice and change the bell schedules to start no earlier than 8:30 a.m.
Thank you, students. I appreciate your concerns being expressed in a very thoughtful and organized and clear way. So I want you to know that I will be reaching out to many of you in the coming days. Okay? All right.
And just to state, on behalf of the governing board, we are not allowed to respond or discuss any items that are not on the agenda, but I do want to recognize you. So, and if you're willing to stay around after the meeting, I would more than happy to spend time with you to talk with you. Right, thank you so much. Is that all the public comment?
It is.
All right, we will continue with consent agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you so much. Any discussion? Vice President Montero.
Yes, just had a quick question on item G2, staff travel. I know items, let me pull it up here, 4 through 8 on the Innovation Center teachers. I just wanted to follow up with it because I know some more information on kind of what the timeline is of, I know you're in the process of hiring the teachers for the Innovation Academy. And so I was just wondering if we can get a little bit more information on kind of what the process is or when you're expecting to have those names, just so we have more information on what we're approving tonight.
Thank you, Vice President Montero. This is not typical that we leave names omitted. We've done this in the past as placeholders. This merely provides the permission for, once the board approves, is for permission for the district staff in purchasing to begin travel arrangements and getting quotes and that kind of thing. There are no teachers listed here. They're identified as teacher 1 through 5. The intent is to be hiring those teachers in the coming weeks. There's a process that's been identified, and we do believe we will have names that can be submitted or planned on being submitted on March 2nd. If we wait till March 2nd, it just prolongs that, and we end up paying a lot more for travel, especially going into in Iowa this trip. The Innovation Center Iowa Big is a great opportunity for these 5 teachers to attend, so they have firsthand experience in planning with the teachers from that establishment, and to understand the necessity to work and have synergy among one another when you're working for a project solution-based learning model, and that is the direction that the Innovation Hub is heading. And so we are confident we will have those names identified in the coming weeks, and they will be submitted for the March 2nd board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have Teaching and Learning, Revised Instructional Time Model. Dr. Mendeville.
Thank you, President Garcia. The board won't take action on this item until after the second public hearing on March 2nd. We are required by statute now to have 2 public hearings for any amendment or anything involving the instructional time model. This was approved. The original instructional time model was approved in the fall, and this is just a small amendment that we will be making in response to some of the assessments that will be administered in actually this month and in March. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Alexic, and so she can provide a little bit more information.
Thank you, President Garcia, members of the board, Dr. Mendeville, and executive team. I am here to present updates on our instructional time model. So I'm going to go through, just give you a brief overview of House Bill 2862, and then talk to you about the proposed additions to our instructional time model. So House Bill 2862 was adopted and authorized to provide districts the opportunity to give students flexibility in how they earn their instructional minutes that result in ADM. Some of the flexibilities that were provided through this bill is that we could use instructional minutes and deliver those throughout the day, including evenings and weekends, as well as in course length increments. We could also include in-person and remote instruction in our instructional time model, stagger learning times as well to allow students more flexibility in when they take their classes. In addition to different abilities in terms of when they take classes, we were also afforded the ability to provide instruction in different ways. So you will see that direct instruction is listed there, but also project-based learning as well as independent and mastery-based learning. So in September, we presented our instructional time model for the current school year. And in that, at that point, we wanted to replace in-person learning with distance learning in specific circumstances. And so we listed student emergencies. So if a student had to quarantine and stay home, they would still be able to engage in instruction remotely, and they would acquire and meet instructional time in that fashion. We also listed school-level emergencies. So an example that we listed there was a fire. So if an entire school had to move to distance learning for a week or two, our instructional time model would allow us to use distance learning to account for instructional time. So what we're adding or asking to add to an instructional time model is this category called other circumstances. And we listed some examples of when we would use this. These are not exhaustive. These are some things that we're in the planning stages right now. So the ability to use evening school and Saturday school as an option to tie that back to the Monday through Friday regular bell schedule for students, which would give them flexibility to take classes at different times, not just the set Monday through Friday timeline. And then state testing. We added state testing really for 2 reasons, and we would like to use distance learning for the state level assessment that is coming up in April for our juniors. Usually when state level assessment is given, the cohort that is testing comes to school following the regular bell schedule, and then we follow a late start for the non-testers. So once testing is complete, students come to school, and then they have shortened class periods to fit in their actual school day. This has worked well because usually state tests are between 2.5 to 3 hours. The ACT is a 5-hour assessment, and so to we were thinking of ways to really provide non-test students an opportunity to engage in learning where they didn't have to come for a modified class schedule where the class periods would really be between 10 to 15 minutes. So we would like to have the juniors come in class, come to school and take the test in person while the non-test cohorts would stay home and engage in learning activities designed by their teachers remotely. We would track attendance in the same way that was proposed in our original instructional time model. So if a student submits the assignment and completes the work, they would count as present, and if they don't, they would count as absent. For juniors, if they come to school and participate in the test, they would count as present, and if they don't, they would count as absent. So really the only change that we were asking to add is this other circumstances category, and those examples listed are things that we're considering using distance learning for. If this revision is approved, then the next step would be to use that same form that we used in September to submit our instructional time model to the state, and we would just indicate that we have revised it and that the board has reviewed it and approved it. So any questions?
Thank you so much. All right, board members, any thoughts, comments, or questions? As a reminder, this is informational for right now. We'll have our second hearing on March 2nd. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next is our public hearing on our instructional time model. Dr. Mandeville, do we have any public comment for our instructional time model?
At this time, we do not.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we have board policies. First, policy DIE audits, financial monitoring for first reading and adoption. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board, Member Hodge. We recommend that you approve this because mainly it is a statutory change that was passed last season, and ASBA is recommending this policy change. And what this does is, it's up there, okay, good, that in prior years you would have as information for different audit outcomes, and we're audited for a variety of reasons from a variety of entities. And so what this new change in this particular policy requires that the governing board publicly accept all single audit packages, annual audits, and compliance questionnaires by roll call vote. So, and that's really the essence of this change. So we recommend the ASBA approved change to this policy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. Board members, any thoughts, comments, or questions on this item? No? All right. Hearing none, seeing none, I move approval of J1, policy DIE, audits and financial monitoring. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have policy EEA, bus driver requirements, training and responsibilities. First reading and adoption. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia. That is a mouthful there of alphabet. What this basically does, and I think this is the state legislature's attempt to help the situation for transportation with our buses. And so this permits bus drivers to submit their out-of-state adjacent to Arizona, like Nevada, New Mexico, use their license and have it, the easy way of just saying it, more for reciprocity, so they can begin driving here while they obtain our state licensure through the Department of Public Safety and the Arizona Department of Transportation. So we do recommend, and ASBA does recommend, the policy adoption as well, because this does help us. I think I just have to say that's a little bit comical that we're just accepting the adjacent states to to it, but we'll take whatever we can, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. Board members, any thoughts, comments? Thoughts, comments, or questions on this item? All right, hearing none, seeing none, I move approval of policy EEAEA. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have business services, approval of State of Arizona contract for the purchase of computer hardware and support. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, members of the board. This is our goal is to have a one-on-one initiative with our students with a device, learning device, laptop for their classrooms when they come to school. And so I'm not certain if we're but we're almost there to a one-on-one initiative, unless we're in year 3. Okay, I wanted to make, that's why I looked over to the expert over there in that corner. But we wanted to get this in, and I appreciate the expedition of this with the purchasing department, because we're not the only district that's trying to do this. So we want to make sure we have these ready for our students when they join us in August. And this is the purchase for in the amount of almost $2.4 million and change. Those funds will be coming from ESSER 2, and that will be delineated as well in the budget update that we do in March, but also with the district additional assistance override funds. We recommend approval.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. Board members, thoughts, comments, or questions on this item? All right, I just want to say thank you to the district for really working on this one-to-one initiative. I think has substantially helped and improved and supported our students and our teachers in a variety of different ways, and also helped bridge the digital divide. So thank you so much for all of your work to get us there. Did I move approval of this? No. Okay, I move approval of K1. Sorry, y'all, I'm very tired. May I have a second?
I'll second.
I second it.
All right, Member Hodge, you got it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next, we have new business, naming of the Marcos Deniza Field for the Steve Adolph Baseball Field. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board, Member Hodge online. Thank you. You're really paying attention, aren't you, Member Hodge, at home?
Yes, I am.
And we're excited about this piece. This is the naming of Marcos Deniza Baseball Field by a former superintendent, but he wasn't just a superintendent. He was a longtime native Tempean, but attended Marcos Deniza, grew up in the community, worked in the district in a variety of capacities, and I don't want to steal the thunder from our two Marcos representatives. They can share a little bit more. I'm going to invite Principal Tolar and I haven't used vice in forever, our Assistant Principal for Athletics, Lenica Reese. So thank you for being here to highlight this wonderful opportunity we have to honor one of our former superintendents and employee.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Mandeville and President Garcia and members of the board, thank you for having us tonight. We're really excited about this. Last year, we celebrated our 50th anniversary at Marcos, and as part of that planning process to celebrate the history of Marcos, you know, we talked through lots of projects, and one of the things that we wanted to do was to dedicate one of our facilities. And so as we were kind of going through that brainstorming, Mr. Steve Adolph was a name that kept coming up as such a foundation of our history of Marcos Deniza and Tempe Union. And so we knew that we wanted to do something with Mr. Adolph and recognized that we wanted to do it the right way. And so it took us a little bit longer to get there to make sure that we were doing this in conjunction with a couple of grants that we're working on to improve our facilities. And so we have gotten here today, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Reese because she's done so much of the legwork of this project. But it really is exciting because it it roots our school and our facilities in community, and that's really what it's about. And so I'm just really excited about this project and being able to see the dedication.
All right. Good evening, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, governing board members, executive team. My name is Lenica Reese, and I'm the Assistant Principal of Athletics at Marcos Deniza High School. And like Ms. Toller mentioned, this project has been just a true labor of love since we started the planning of our 50th, I keep saying wedding anniversary in my head, but we're not married, so of the 50th anniversary of our school. Every conversation that I've been fortunate enough to have with colleagues, with family members, it was very clear and evident that Mr. Steve Adolph was a true servant leader. And that started early on at his time at Marcos Deniza. He was a member of the Interact Club, and he spent most of his lunch times in the nurse's office serving 2 peers who had intellectual disabilities. During that time, he was a multi-sport athlete. He actually caught the first touchdown pass in our school's history from quarterback Oscar Ramirez, and played baseball. It was one of his true loves. During his time at Marcos, he met his high school sweetheart and his future wife, Renee. So you could say that his time at Marcos was well spent. He went on to college and received his degree in education. He had his first start in Snowflake, Arizona, and was able to come back to Tempe Union in 1981, where he served as a classroom teacher at Corona del Sol High School. He had his first start at leadership and serving at Corona as the assistant principal of athletics. When I talked to his wife, Renee, she called the best phone call of his life was when he was called to go home to serve as the principal at Marcos Deniza High School. Steve proudly did that and later transitioned to a higher leadership role here at the district office, where he served as the associate superintendent under Dr. James Buchanan, where he later served, as Dr. Mendeville mentioned, as our superintendent. Mr. Adolph had full plans to retire and spend time with his family and his loved ones and travel, but he was once again called to serve at Santan Hills High School. And then he later served again as the Coolidge Associate Superintendent. So you could say education is his life. Unfortunately, Mr. Adolph unexpectedly passed away in 2016. However, he left 30 years of a legacy, and something that has stood the test of time is his belief is what's doing best for students, and that echoes today in all that we do here in Tempe Union. So I'm asking you today on behalf of the Marcos Deniza faculty and staff in our community that you consider naming our field after Mr. Steve Adolph. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Board members? Thoughts, comments, or questions before we take action? Mr. Barraza.
I just wanted to comment, graduating from Marcos Deniza in 1999, he was my principal, and he was a wonderful man, and this is a wonderful way to recognize his effort and his commitment to our community. That's all, I just want to make sure.
Thank you so much, Mr. Barraza. Well, I just wanted to thank you in taking the time and the work that has clearly gone on with the naming and the thoughtfulness behind it. So thank you so much for all of that. And well, at this time, I'll move approval of L1. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you so much, Mr. Barraza. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you so much.
Just sit down now.
Yeah.
Now it's safe to sit down.
Next we have informational items, 1, COVID benchmark updates. Dr. Mendeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, members of the board, Member Hodge at home, and all those listening. Mr. McDonald is going to just give a brief review of some good news and some trajectory that I think we are seeing through the data that's being presented. Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the Marcos Deniza administration for putting one of my mentors on the baseball field. Mr. Adolph was very good. I started my career with him as a teacher and coach, and later a principal under him as well. So well deserved, and I appreciate you representing him and his family well. Good evening, President Garcia, Vice President Montero, governing board members, Superintendent Mendeville, executive team, guests here and at home. I will provide you with a brief and I will say positive COVID update. Not where we want yet, but going definitely in the right direction. The things that we'll go ahead and talk about today, we'll go ahead and talk about the metric updates as far as Maricopa County, look at Tempe Union as a whole, and then we'll also look at the school sites that we divide by our zip codes of those schools. We'll look at the monthly trends. We'll also look at that rate of reproduction or transmission, that R0 number, and then any questions that you might have. So again, you'll see here and tomorrow we'll have another update, but we are trending in the right direction now. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're not still high. Remember that these are 2 weeks old, so that we will see a dip again tomorrow in the cases per 100,000 and percent positivity. Percent positivity as of today is about 31%, to give you an idea. So it is trending downwards. We will continue to look at that. We were at, about 2 weeks ago, somewhere between 40 and 50, depending upon what zip code we were looking at. And then also the cases per day, 2 weeks ago, were up to like 24,000. And today we're down to about 8,000. And so we are looking positive and going in the right direction in all of those metric areas. You see here, Tempe Union as a whole, again, if you remember, we had no report on January 6th, but as we continue to move, we knew we would trend up, and now we're going to trend down again. And again, tomorrow, my guess is that you'll be in the 1,000 to 1,200 range, maybe a little bit higher, but we should be somewhere where we need to be with that positivity rate again going in the 31%. Now, if you think about it, 2 weeks ago, that would be around January 13th that we saw these numbers. It will be January 20th as of tomorrow. So that's where we're at, just as we started back to school a couple weeks in. Tempe High, you'll see, again, these trends will all be the same, where you'll start seeing the cases per 100,000 going down. Percent positivity will slightly go down, and we'll continue that trend in the next 2 weeks. McClintock is the same. Marcos Deniza. Corona del Sol High School. Mountain Point. Desert Vista High School. As we look at the monthly trends, you'll notice, and we talked about this last board meeting, that this positivity rate, we knew in December was about 14, and we knew that was going to jump and double, and that's exactly what it did. It reached 31% by the end of January. In fact, it actually reached a little bit more, but this is an average. And as you look at the cases, we also knew that if you look here, that is the first wave, this is the second wave, and then that's that third wave that we're currently in. This is Alpha, this is Delta, and this is Omicron. And you'll see what Omicron really did differently than any of the other variants. Practically more than 3 times where we were, doubled the amount of the second wave. And I think that's important. This will be trending downwards as you see February numbers continue. Again, anytime during January, we were looking at daily cases of 18,000 up to 24,000. And now we're tapered back to 8,000. So we'll taper back down and see a significant change. As far as vaccine rollout, I'm very pleased to report that at least one dose has been given to over 68, almost 69% of Arizonans, with fully vaccinations being at 56.45%. And so we know that the people are continuing to get their vaccination. Remember, fully vaccinated now has to be that the last dose, again, needs to be taken if it's the Moderna or the Pfizer, no more than 6 months. After that, you have to get your booster. If it's your Johnson & Johnson, no more than 2 months. And so you'll see that Johnson & Johnson actually has fallen off a little bit because people are choosing to go with a vaccination that has a longer span. And this is the important one, and if you watch, this is the R0 number, and this is the very beginning. If you remember, 2 years ago next month, this is where we started the pandemic, where the COVID was introduced, and this was a critical, because it was just the beginning. As we worked through, we had the first wave, the second wave, and now the third wave, and notice here, it went all the way up. And now, as of yesterday's, the R0 number was 0.78. So again, a reminder, anything below 1.0 means that we're in a downwards transmission and reproduction rate. Very, very exciting for Arizona. That's why we know we will continue to trend. Some of the daily numbers I think people will want to know about as well. We were, a couple weeks ago, at about 300, or just a little bit less than 300 positive cases. We actually went all the way down to 69 positive cases today. We've been trending that for the last week. We feel very good about that. Only 12 staff members out of all of those 69. So again, those numbers have dropped significantly. So what we're seeing in the metrics on the day-to-day, we're seeing that here in our environment as well. And with that, I'll be able to ask any questions. I do believe, when we talk about masks, right now, currently mandated, as we continue to look and watch, my guess is, and predict it as hopefully within a couple weeks, I think the week of the 14th, if we look at the metrics on the 17th, very well that we probably could make an announcement to talk about masks being optional, but we'd like for you to think about that as we continue to report out each Friday. Tomorrow also the metrics will come out, and I'll be happy to give you a report come Friday in your board briefing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. McDonald. Board members, all right, Vice President Peraza. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Vice President Montero.
Retired. I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to thank you, Mr. McDonald. I know we're going on year 3 of crunching the numbers and keeping us informed every week, and it's greatly appreciated. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Vice President Montero. Board members, any thoughts, comments, or questions? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. McDonald. Appreciate it. All right, next we have informational items, number 2, financial report through January 24th, 2022. As a reminder, board members, this is an informational item only. In this item, you will find the M&O report, other funds report, and the student funds tax credit and auxiliary report. All right, we're getting close to the end here, so we'll continue with our communications from our governing board members. Who would like to go first? Mr. Braza.
I won't take up a lot of time. I just more or less first want to thank the students for coming in. I always enjoy seeing students come into our board meetings and express their opinions. So please continue to advocate for everything that you do. So please do, and I always encourage you, no matter what, any students to contact your principals and Dr. Mendeville. They're very much open and willing to speak to anyone in the community. So I appreciate that effort too, Dr. Mendeville. The only real thing I just want to hit on, other than there were some events, but I'm sure my other board members will discuss some of those, but I really just want to touch on, just because tonight there was kind of a recurrent theme, but our strategic goal meeting for our subcommittee met last week, and it was wonderful. The discussions were amazing. It was very innovative and very much thinking what ought we do as opposed to what should, only the should, but not the ought. To me, innovation requires us always thinking about pushing forward. So with that, I just will give you a quick highlight on the objectives. I won't get into all the details. We can always provide that, and Diane will provide that as we continue on with our committee. But just to highlight the objective names. So for our subcommittee, we're looking at Objective A. We will provide resources to meet the educational, physical, social, and emotional needs of our students. Wonderful conversations surrounding that. That I hope, I think our students will really much love. There's a lot of social emotional behind it. There's a lot of resources to vamp up programs, and what I really appreciate is the emphasis on educational, physical, and social emotional needs. Objective B, we focused on, will provide resources for all staff to successfully fulfill their roles and responsibilities. We discussed various departments around the district, various needs. I think there's a lot of great conversations that, I don't know if this is stuff that, you know, like as the subcommittee continues to work, if it's public yet, but when it becomes available, if we can put that out at least in some respect, in some reform. The other thing was Objective C, will provide a safe, healthy, and well-maintained environment for all. And that goes into also sustainability aspects of it and our resources for our campuses. And so, you know, really what I just want to hit on is that these discussions are ongoing. And I would also love to see how we can fit in, you know, some students into it, especially if we're looking at the sustainability officer role of student council. I think there's some conversations that they would be valuable to. But I just wanted to mention that it was incredible to have that conversation and the work that is continually moving in that direction. That's all I have, other than it's wonderful to see everyone here, and I hope everyone stays safe. And also, Danny, I just wanted to mention, I really appreciate your story. You graduated from Marcos Niza. I'd love to continue talking to you. I actually, a school to prison pipeline student, I had to get my rights restored to run here tonight, to be here tonight. I didn't get to be a Marine. That was actually what I wanted to do out of high school, and it was during September 11th, you know, my senior year. So it was devastating to watch a lot of people go to do what I committed since 8 years old to do, and me having to stay back. And it was a tough time, but I really value what you're bringing to our district and what you do as an individual in your career. And I appreciate you making these students and our community a priority of your life, you know, so thank you. And I appreciate you being here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Barraza. All right, who would like to go next?
Can I go next?
Yes, of course, Ms. Hodge.
All right, well, thank you guys for everything tonight. Also, I want to just highlight Black History Month. Very important to me, but I'll say it like I always say, Black history is history, so it's every day of the year. I have a quote by Michelle Obama. History has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own, and that's by Michelle Obama. And thank you. That's all I have to say tonight.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hodge. Member James?
Kate, yes, we had a couple fun things with some schools. We got to see Corona play at the AMEA conference, and they were amazing. I only got to catch the first tune because I had to run in between schools, but I was really grateful to be able to see what Mr. Duplessis is doing with his band students. It's a fantastic program, and I'm very proud to see them representing our district at that event. And then Vice President Montero and I got to spend some time at Marcos, and that was amazing. We saw the library there. They have a new librarian. He's incredible. He has turned that library just into, it's alive. It's alive. It is. They have a vinyl listening station, and you can just feel the excitement there. I know circulation has gone up a ton, and it's just really exciting to see what can happen when there's passion and brains behind a project. So Rob Owen Jones is the librarian there and is absolutely phenomenal. So just wanted to shout out to him. And then I know we also have some birthdays. Board member Hodge, you forgot. I'm going to take your job, but we have board member Barraza's birthday coming up and Vice President Montero's birthday coming up this month. So board member Hodge, what are you doing about that?
Can we sing happy birthday with them? Can I start off happy birthday really quick?
I think we should. I mean, do we have choir kids here? Do you have, I mean, can we do this? This is like a big birthday here. please? Avi, come on.
How about we just all...
I
know,
think
we have
it
the
would be
professionals.
wonderful for you guys to showcase your talent,
Sorry, but this is too good.
because you don't want to hear them
Okay.
sing.
It's true.
All right. We got to start off. Ready?
You're gonna let the choir kids do this. All right.
Oh, they're going to sing it. Oh.
Board member, just say board members or whatever. Board members, happy birthday, dear board members. Happy birthday. That works, right?
Wish you a happy birthday, a joyful and celebrated birthday. Our friends, board members, we wish you a long, long life. We wish you a happy birthday, a joyful and celebrated birthday, a joyful and celebrated birthday. We wish you a long, long life. We wish you a happy birthday, a joyful and celebrated birthday, a joyful and celebrated birthday. We wish you a long, long life. We wish you a long, long life. We wish you a long, long life.
Oh, yeah. No, that was amazing.
No, thank you, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm a music teacher, and you are here, and the arts are amazing, and hearing you fill our boardroom like that is fabulous. So thank you. Thank you for doing that, and happy birthday to my fellow board members, because we won't see you until March. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mrs. James. Vice President Montero.
First of all, I just want to thank all of the students. That was amazing. That made my night. Yeah. So thank you for that, and I also wanted to thank you for coming and speaking tonight. I want, as President Garcia said earlier, I know we can't generally respond, but I want you to know that we are listening, and we definitely want to follow up and continue this conversation and make sure that your voices are heard. So again, thank you so much for coming. I wanted to congratulate, wow, it's getting late, to our Corona del Sol social worker, Lori Pagano, for receiving the 2022 Field Educator of the Year Award from ASU School of Social Work. Lori was a major player in our mental health ad hoc committee later last year and helped, has been a major part in making social emotional wellness a top priority in this district. Just wanted to give her congratulations and thanks for all she does for our district and for students at Corona. As Member James said, last Friday I was able to see the Corona Wind Ensemble's performance at the Arizona Music Educators Conference and wanted to thank David Duplessis for all that he does for his students. It was amazing to see your performance. And also had the chance to visit Marcos Deniza with Member James, toured some classes with Principal Tolar, and saw some amazing murals throughout some of the buildings. I wanted to thank the students, and Reagan Guzman for her dedication for her students. I mean, it was amazing just to see the hallways lit up with the different art, and it really brought life to this, walking throughout the school, so it was amazing to see that. And then President Garcia and I, on Monday, went to visit the Desert Vista Library to congratulate librarian Amanda Domino on her recent engagement. Amanda Domino has always been a role model and a mentor in my life. She was one of the coaches for the speech debate team when I was on the team at Desert Vista, so I've always looked up to her, and so had to go and congratulate her and thank her for all that she does for our district and for Desert Vista in the library there. And then also on Monday, had the chance to, with Dr. Mendeville, go to the East Valley School Board Consortium. So want to thank Tempe Elementary for hosting right down the street. Had the chance to connect with school board members from across the East Valley and get some different updates, legislative updates from Chris Carterman with the Arizona School Boards Association and some different information. So wanted to thank them for that. And lastly, I wanted to acknowledge our gifts and donations. We have quite a few, so bear with me. First, we had $14,565.23 to Corona from the Corona del Sol Pump Up the Spirit Booster Club. $12,000 to Desert Vista from the DV Choir Booster Club. We had $3,659.16 to Desert Vista from the DV Softball Boosters. We had $2,000 to Tempe High from Juniors Recycling, $723.96 to McClintock from Sharon Schindel. We had $661.11 to Corona from Donna Elliott and Joshua Kinnaman. We had $400 to Marcos from the Tempe Historical Society, $275.05 to Desert Vista from Earl Gardner and Philip Mornier. We had $200 to Marcos from Christopher Mick, $30 to Corona from Brett Nunn, $30 to Corona from Robin McCain, $15 to Desert Vista from Jiaying Lee, and we had the American Heart Association Phoenix Division to all of our campuses. We had CPR school kits estimated at $5,000, which is why we are all wearing red today. Shades of red. We had Barro's Pizza to Marco Stanitza for the CoachCom wireless belt packs, holsters, and case systems estimated at $4,608. Peter Bennett to Marco Stanitza for a Viola case, Bose, Coda Bow estimated at $500. We had Miss Julietta Auerbach, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, to Marco Stanitza, the acoustic guitar and case estimated at $275. Samantha Hall to Desert Vista. We had used Wilson tennis rackets and used trumpets estimated at $135. Lastly, Peter Bennett to Marco Stanitza, a violin case, sheet music recorder case estimated at $100. That was a lot. Thank you for bearing with me. But thank you all to our gifts and donations.
Thank you so much, Vice President Montero. All right, just like Member Hodge, I want to wish everyone a happy Black History Month. I was recently in a meeting where we got to express and recognize a Black educator that has influenced our lives, and that was led by a friend, Alexia Galloway. And so she encouraged us to share that with that group in particular, and I wanted to do that here tonight as well. And while she's not a high school teacher, Janie Clay was my first grade teacher at Carminati Elementary in Tempe, and was a huge influential person in my life, particularly because I was also in ELL, and she went above and beyond for me back in first grade. And she would let me go into a room during lunch to watch Zabubafu with her. While we had different reasons to watch Zabubafu, it was a great time to get to know her and continue building our relationship. So happy Black History Month to everyone, and happy Lunar New Year. Along with Vice President Montero and Member James went to the AMEA performance with David Duplessis, and the amazing performance that Corona put on. Honestly, I feel like it was very much a professional, because it is a professional performance, but you would never be able to distinguish it because it was so, I don't even have words for it. One of the songs was describing like walking through New York and hearing all the jazz noises and the street sounds and how that's incorporated, and it was like, yep, let's do it. Let's do this. So thank you to David Duplessis for inviting us, and congratulations on an amazing performance. I also want to congratulate Amanda Domino, our librarian at Desert Vista. It was great to go with Vice President Montero and congratulate her in person and show our appreciation and support for her and everything that she does, along with everyone else in the library. Also wanted to give a reminder to our board for ASBA, our Equity Conference is coming up. So if you are interested in going, you can let our wonderful June Reppy know, because that is coming up here real quick. One of the other things I really quick want to talk about is the aggregate expenditure limit down at the legislature. This is one of the most critical pieces that we need your help on, because I'll spare you the nuances, but essentially would impact us with $17 million. And so please reach out to our state legislators. And we have phenomenal advocates here that work with us but they need to hear from you too. We have Senator Sean Bowie and House members Mitzi Epstein and Jennifer Germain down in Legislative District 18. And up in Legislative District 26, we have Senator Juan Mendez and House members Athena Solomon and Melody Hernandez. So when you
How about 27?
Sorry?
27?
27, yes, as well as 27. Please, 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 please take a moment to reach out to our state legislators because this will have a significant impact this funding period. So please. Finally, want to thank all of our speakers that came in today and our students who came in for public comment. Generally speaking, I am someone who would not be where I am today if it wasn't for the fine arts. And it's very empowering to hear you all come and speak, in particular because I was in the McClintock Chanticleers when I was over at McClintock and got to perform with the Marcos Chamber. And it was something that was near and dear to me when we would travel together to go up to Jazz Mad up at NAU and perform and do our chamber groups and our chamber performances and our jazz performances. So thank you for your voice because the arts is something very, very special to me, and I definitely did not have the courage you showed today. So thank you. With that, I will pass it on to Dr. Mendo for any communications from you or the executive team.
Just, I want to echo my congratulations and to the, our students. You make me proud because you came here with a cause that was near and dear to your heart, and I am a performing arts supporter, so I understand there's a lot of complexity that's involved with running a school district, but we're going to get to the root of some of those concerns and to see how we can further improve and enhance programming there, because we do tout Marcos Deniza as a performing arts academy. So we'll dive a little bit more into that, and that's my commitment to the board. And secondly, so thank you, students. You did a great job. You're wonderful. I'm not sure what we'll be able to do about starting early on time because I'm like you, I'm not an early bird. But thank you for joining us as well, representing McClintock. Secondly, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we, the American Heart Association, this is Heart Healthy Month, and so we want to have heart healthy living incorporated into our choices and make that every day, because we have to take care of that that one particular heart, our organ that keeps us alive and healthy and well, and it's important to do that. So, and at the end of this, we'll take our little photo for the array of red that's in this room. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. All right, our next regular meeting is March 2nd. I move to adjourn this meeting. I have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, before you talk to me.